What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the HoopsCrush podcast. It's been far too long, but I am joined with my man Brady Parks, aka Crushables. Brady, how the heck have you been? How was your summer? All that good stuff.
I have been good, man. Just waiting for the NBA season to start. Obviously, we've just been getting into some other sports while we wait. NFL's been back, so that's been primarily what I've watched. Watched a little bit of baseball too, and that's basically all I've really been up to at this point.
Yeah,
But excited for basketball to be back soon, for sure.
yeah. Anything? Did you do anything fun over the summer while we were away? It's been, I think, like almost 3 months since we've had an episode.
Yeah, I know it's been a long time. I mean, nothing too crazy. I take a trip to Kansas City every year, so I did that again, but nothing like extraordinary by any means. But yeah, that's basically all I did over the summer.
Nice. Well, you'll probably be at this point someday. Your kids are still, I think, a little too young,
Hmm.
but I'm a full-on soccer dad now, and
Oh yeah.
like my life right now consists of work, soccer, and obviously Blazer basketball and NBA starting. But that's kind of my life until maybe in January it'll switch to basketball mode because both my younger kids are playing basketball this year as well. But yeah, it's just been crazy with soccer pretty much year round other than a few months in winter time. So that's my life right now. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the season starting. Um, wasn't too eventful of an off season. I mean, there were some moves in free agency, a couple of big trades earlier in the off season, but then we got a big trade a few weeks ago out of nowhere where Carl Anthony Towns, Minnesota, decides to move on from him. They trade him to the New York Knicks, who we know one of their main weaknesses after getting McHale and losing Hartenstein was that center position with Mitchell Robinson hurt as well. So we're looking for some big man depth and instead swing for the fences with Carl Anthony Towns. What were your thoughts when you heard this trade out of nowhere? And what do you think this means for both teams? How do you see it shaking out?
So to put myself back in the position when the trade first came out, it obviously surprised I think everybody. Like it's super late, training camp's about to start. Or it was like right there, and then we just get this big gigantic trade, which has been kind of unusual. I think the Russell Westbrook trade years ago happened kind of late too, but I don't know if it was that late. But my first
We had the
reaction,
Dame trade, of course,
yeah,
but
Dame trade too,
we were
which
just like waiting for that to
yeah, we knew that
happen.
was
Yeah.
inevitably going to happen. So that one didn't feel as bad. But yeah, it was like when I first saw it, I'm like, I'm not sure I like this for either team, to be honest with you. I just was like, I just thought it was weird. Minnesota just made it to the conference finals with Cat, and then they try to change things up, which I get at the financial standpoint and the new CBA. I get the why they did it. And I also was a little dumbfounded by the Knicks splitting up the Villanova connection. It sounded like they just completed all of those guys together, and they already traded Dante DiVincenzo, but it looks like DiVincenzo has had some animosity a little bit towards some things with the Knicks. So I guess I heard a few things or saw a few things that said he wasn't happy with maybe coming off the bench. He was a big part of what they did last year. And then we all saw what he was saying to Thibodeau and Leon Rose on the sideline. So there must have been some things going on we didn't really or sorry, did I say or yeah, what Leon Rose. Is that the right name that I
Yeah,
just said?
that's him.
I
Yep.
don't know why I overthought thinking I said that wrong. But yeah, there must have been some things we didn't really know going on there. And then of course for the Knicks, I definitely think getting Carly Towns, makes them even better. It might as well just go all in even more. They're already kind of there. They've at this point traded for McHale, brought an OG. And Randall, I think all of us kind of agreed that Randall, since he didn't play last year, was going to be kind of a weird fit on this roster anyway. So they kind of solved that. I don't think any of us were convinced that the Knicks could get off of him though, but I think this is the right scenario to do it. I think the Knicks obviously got a lot better by doing this. It sucks to lose DiVincenzo. Randall wasn't part of their run last year, but Cat is obviously a big, with Mitch Robinson. They have a lot of lineup versatility. They want to start Cat and Robinson together because Cat played power forward, of course, last year. or they can play Cavs at 5 and, have OG and Mikal at the 3 and the 4, whatever they want to do there. So, yeah, I actually really like this trade for the Knicks, especially if you're going all in this Eastern Conference with the way Boston looked last year. Minnesota, of course, I think it makes them a little bit worse, but DiVincenzo is one hell of a player. And we'll see what Randall, turns into. I'm definitely a little skeptical of how that'll look, but overall, it was very weird at the time, but I do get it for both teams, what they were trying to achieve, I guess.
Yeah, and for the record, Mitchell Robinson is out till January 1st, and you haven't really been able to rely on him
Yeah, that's
being
true.
healthy in previous years, so maybe this allows them to not rush him back and just basically save him for the playoffs. That's probably what I would do. Just like very sparingly play him from the time he comes back till the postseason, and hope that he's healthy enough to give you some good minutes there. But yeah, for Minnesota, I understand with this new CBA, being a small market team, you're gonna have to make tough decisions like this to move on from expensive contracts. It seems so weird to have it happen, like you mentioned, the off season after you're on the come up. You just make a conference finals appearance. You're seemingly up next in the Western Conference, other than OKC. But you have a young, I forget how old Anthony Edwards is, like 22 or 23-year-old, that's on the cusp of being a superstar, and showed out in the playoffs last year. And then you just make a trade to seemingly make your team a little worse off. Doesn't make sense basketball wise. I get it, CBA wise. It's just kind of unfortunate, the new CBA, that kind of stuff happens. It's already showing that it's going to be really difficult to keep really good teams together, and a lot of owners are going to be worried about that. And then we had the weird ownership situation
Yeah.
where Glenn Taylor, the current owner, was set to sell the team to a group with A-Rod as part of it, but that seemingly fell through, and there's some legal battle going on whether or not he's going to have to be forced to sell it to them anyway. But part of the reason was they were good, and he hasn't wanted to spend money for a long time. And then he was concerned that this new ownership group was going to cut payroll, but then he cuts payroll. So it's just like a lot of weird dynamic there. So this is why if you don't have ownership that's willing to do what it takes to win, it's really hard, especially in those smaller markets, to do what it takes to win. And now even in the big markets, you're severely handicapped when you are into that second apron, or get hard capped or whatever. So it's definitely a new dynamic in the NBA, and teams like the Spurs this summer took advantage of that, acquiring picks and stuff for taking on salaries. I would love a team like Portland to be in that position, if they're going to not be good for a while, to actually take advantage of other teams needing to dump salary and picking up assets that way. But unfortunately, Portland's payroll is still pretty big for a rebuilding team, so they weren't able to do that. But as for New York, I don't think Cat fits well on a lot of teams. But if he's going to fit well on a team, I think it's the Knicks. Um, they probably still need Mitchell Robinson to be healthy, but having that perimeter defense with OG and Mikal, it's just, and Josh Hart too. You don't really need Cat to be like the focal point of a defense, and we saw him next to Rudy Gobert, a good rim protector. He played better than he had in previous years in terms of defense. But now the onus of rim protection is going to be more on him. But if the perimeter defenders are stopping a lot of players from getting to the rim, that could take a lot of pressure off of him. And then offensively, just spacing the floor for those guards to operate, especially Jalen Brunson, the way he can take over games. I just think it's a really good fit, and Tibbs might run him into the ground. Maybe Cat's had some injury problems of his own, but yeah, I think Tibbs can find a way to scheme some things to make his defensive liabilities a little less problematic for them. So yeah, I just kind of weird, and I also think Randall is a pretty good fit next to Gobert. Like maybe not long term, but I think they kind of complement each other decently. I don't know how that fits with the rest of what they're trying to accomplish with Anthony Edwards and all that stuff, but I do think those two are okay as a fit at the power forward and center as well. So maybe not the worst downgrade for Minnesota, but it's still kind of weird that a conference finals team would do that.
Dante is also on an incredible contract, so that helps their salary situation. And I just, you just said it, OG and Mikal. I still can't believe those two are on the same team, by the way.
Right.
It's so insane. Like, those two perimeter defenders together is going to be wild for the Knicks and going to be massive in the playoffs, assuming they're there, which they're, it would be absolutely doomsday if they don't make it. So they should be there.
As Blazer fans, man,
those are the two guys we would dream over, and like they have both of them.
Prayed for times like this where we had Mikal and OG.
Those are the two guys I would like trade for all the time when I needed a perimeter defender, and now they're on the same team, and I don't touch them anymore really because it doesn't make sense for the Knicks to trade them now.
No. Just side note, did you happen to see Mikal kind of tweaked his shot and it looked terrible,
I just saw a video about that today.
He's got a bit of a hitch in his shot.
It's a little weird.
Bad.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know. That caught me off guard. I wasn't sure what that was all about, but yeah, I did see.
Hopefully, he was just goofing around because it was preseason. Because that looked bad, man.
Yeah, it did. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if I didn't think he had like any injuries to be doing weird stuff like that. So I don't know what he was doing.
Yeah. Anyways, the regular season starts on Tuesday, and our Blazers start on Wednesday. Golden State Warriors are coming to town. And so how much of the preseason were you able to watch? Did you catch anything? And then just your general thoughts on the Blazers as a whole, as a team, heading into the 2024-2025 season.
So honestly, when it comes to preseason, and this is for any sport, I don't watch preseason really at all. Like I just, it doesn't do it for me. So that NFL, I don't watch preseason. Obviously, I don't watch preseason for anything. So no, I didn't really watch preseason basketball at all. I'd look at box scores or whatever, but nothing too crazy. And of course, I would pay attention to what Blazers fans were saying on Twitter. And as I mentioned to you before, I saw all the hate after the first game for Scoot and how bad he was. And then I saw he did a little bit better the next game. And then this last game, I saw how good Donovan Clingan was. And the box score definitely reflected that. And at halftime, we were blowing out the Utah Jazz, and everyone had a lot of good things to say. So I'm like, okay, hopefully we'll be interested to watch this year, which is what we all want. Just a competitive roster and a team that gets up and down the court, and that's what we're hoping for. Denny Avdia and Clingan were two amazing additions in the offseason, and we'll just see how that translates going into the season. So I'm excited as far as where I'm at with the Blazers, like I just said. I'm not really expecting a playoff or play-in spot. Expectations are low, but I do want to see improvement. Scoot needs to take another jump. Shaden getting hurt really sucks again, of course. It's really starting to concern me with his injury problems. Hopefully, he can stay healthy for a course of a season. But I'm excited to watch Denny Avdia on this roster. Jeremy Grant's still going to be, a good player, depending on how long. I don't know if he'll be here past the deadline. That's far down the road at this point. We're about to get into game one of the season. So I'm also excited to watch Donovan Clingan. Those are the two guys obviously be the most excited about, the two new additions. But yeah, mainly seeing how much Scoot improves, because obviously he is the guy we chose over our franchise cornerstone for a long time. So we need him to pay off. And, so hopefully he can come out and prove why he was that generational prospect everybody, touted him as. And then Simons, of course, as well. I can't wait to watch him again as well. So yeah, there's a lot to be excited about. Low expectations, but I want to, be able to watch a team that's a lot of fun, I guess, is where I'm at.
Unlike Joe Cronin, you don't fail to mention Anthony Simons. That's good.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I wasn't gonna fail that.
so you mentioned you just you're hoping it would be fun. What does that in your mind look like? What would it if you're telling us in a future episode, oh wow, this team might not be doing well, but it's been fun to watch or interesting. What kind of stuff are you looking for to
Yeah,
ensure that they are enjoyable to watch?
pushing the pace, trying on defense, being in games, so not getting blown out, and just
No
even
60-point losses.
yeah, no, I don't want any of that. Like, I want to be able to, see. I want Scoot I want us to all be able to watch Scoot and like really see strides being made and seeing why he was the number 3 overall pick. And that's what I want to see. I just want us to see us be competitive. That's how my mindset was coming in as a Commanders fan. Like, I didn't really have that much expectations. I just wanted to see, because we were, somewhat of a young roster. We brought in a lot of veterans, of course, but young QB. That's kind of how where Scoot is at this point. Obviously, this isn't Scoot rookie season anymore, but I came with low expectations. I just wanted us to be competitive, and we're a little bit better than that so far, which has been fun. And that's kind of what I'm hoping to see from the Blazers. If we end up being a play-in team, that'd be awesome. I'm not really expecting that, because the Western Conference is loaded, of course, unlike where we're at in the NFL at this point. But yeah, that's basically to me what I'd want to see. Just seeing us be in games, fast tempo, pace team, and just seeing strides from all the guys, is what kind of defines being fun for me, I guess.
Yeah, I completely agree. We've heard from Chauncey ever since he became coach, going into his fourth season now. We hear he wants to push the pace. We hear he wants to have a very ball movement oriented offense with player movement and ball movement combined. We haven't really seen much of that. The first few preseason games didn't give much hope that the things were going to be different. And then all of a sudden, the last game, they were flying up and down the court. They looked so fast, and it looked really good. The ball was also moving on offense. They had, I think, 34 assists, which is a ton for them or a Blazer team. And over a decade, they've been pretty much near or at the bottom of assist totals pretty consistently during that last decade or so. And so, yeah, that was fun to watch. And then on the defensive end, Chauncey always talks about being scrappy and competing on that end and just giving your all. And I haven't really honestly seen that much. It feels like we give up on a lot of plays. We don't get back on defense. Our transition defense is putrid, and so hopefully that looks different this year. That final game gave me a lot of hope that we could have a fun team to watch because that team was, man, that starting lineup. Uh, I don't know if this will be the starting lineup going into the season. They decided to have Scoot come off the bench for that game, and they started big with Tumani, Denny, and Jeremy all at the 2 through 4 position. I don't think it really matters. You don't have to designate one as the shooting guard or whatever, but just having those 3 wings all in at the same time, along with Donovan Klingen's immediate impact on the rim protection and kind of intimidating players from going inside too much, you could just sense how much different that defense could be with a lineup like that. Obviously, we're not going to be able to play those 5 guys together all the time, though. So, how do they maintain that defense when that lineup isn't in the game? Will be fascinating to watch. But yeah, just overall, compete on defense, be scrappy, and have a fun up tempo offense. And I think I'm happy with whatever the results from that would be.
Yeah, and high energy. I want the team to look like they love playing together and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that starts a great culture if guys look like they're having fun out there. So that's another thing I would love to see.
Absolutely. So yeah, over on Blazers Uprise, we'll have post game shows after every single stream. So if you're interested in watching Tori and I break down every game, check us out over on Blazers Uprise. As for Crushables, he's got his own channel. He's been doing a lot of old rebuilds, right?
Yeah, I've been mixing in, just going all over
Yeah.
the place. It's a slow point of the season, so just all over
So
the
he
place
had
right now.
a few days ago, I think there was a post LeBron Cleveland Cavaliers rebuild. Was that from the first one or the second one?
That's from the the first one where he goes to Miami.
2010.
Sorry.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to check that one out yet, but you should all check that out after this show. And then you also had one yesterday
with Phoenix.
Of Phoenix Suns, for during the Steph Curry era.
That's what they call it in 2K. It's like starts in 2017. It's like the Stephen Curry era.
So see how he builds around Eric Bledsoe, right?
No, I traded him.
What? No.
Yeah.
Remember the 3-point guards? You didn't go for that again?
No.
Him and Brandon Knight and Isaiah Thomas or whatever it was.
Unfortunately, didn't go that route.
Okay.
That team ended up being that was one of the fastest teams that ever won a championship for me too. It was so crazy.
Nice.
I guess it's a little spoiler, but yeah. But it was fun.
But go check that out on just search Crushables. If you're not already subscribed, go subscribe to that. A lot of great content over there. We thought it'd be fun to go through the 2024-2025 annual GM survey. And this will also give us a chance to talk about each topic as well. And so every year they survey the GMs and they give their answers on a bunch of questions. I think there's about 50 overall. So this is always fun to look at. And the first question on there was which team will win the 2025 NBA Finals? No surprise, 83% think Boston Celtics will be the back-to-back champions. Also receiving votes, just two other teams. 13% for the Oklahoma City Thunder and 3% for the Dallas Mavericks. What do you think of them picking the Boston Celtics to repeat?
I mean, that's the boring answer. Obviously, they're the team that just won the championship, and their team's still extremely good. So yes, I get it. The Celtics, and they could be back to back. That makes sense. The Warriors obviously dominated for a while there, so maybe Boston's about to do that again. But yeah, that is the boring answer. I'm surprised that no one is falling for the Knicks love and picked them. I'm surprised no one picked them really.
They finished second in the conference rankings, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but Dallas, or what was the other team you said?
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City is definitely interesting for sure. Yeah, Dallas, of course, has Luka, and they acquired Clay, got some more additions this offseason, although I haven't seen a lot of great things about Clay in preseason so far. But yeah, I mean, I get it. Boston, and I don't know if that's who I would choose because I feel like that's boring. I kind of like the idea of throwing the Thunder out there, just because I feel like eventually that team could actually absolutely break through. And the Clippers are about to miss Kawhi to start the season already. Man, the Clippers are just in the worst position ever, and the Thunder are about to reap so many benefits off of that. But yeah, I get it. Celtics make sense. Sure, why not?
Yeah. I've seen one of two ways with the Celtics. Either you think they're so good they're going to repeat because I mean they pretty much have the same team. But then I've also seen, they're not going to make it back again. So
yeah,
it's pretty much one or the other. And I'm not really sure where I lie on that. Obviously, they're really good. Sometimes when you get over the hump, then you just become like a force that just is super confident and is really tough to beat. Sometimes you kind of take your foot off the gas from the grind that it takes to become a champion, and you kind of let up on that. It's just kind of natural to do so. We saw Denver not quite be the same team last year. I mean, they did lose Bruce Brown off that team, but it just didn't look the same at any point last year as it did the previous year. And it's just hard to maintain that, especially I mean, there's so many good teams in the NBA right now in both conferences, so it's really hard to get back there. I think it kind of broke pretty easy for the Celtics last year in terms of um, just their matchups and stuff like that. Not taking anything away from winning a title. I think that's stupid when people do that because I mean they won the title. It's always going to be champions, but like like Golden State had the easy run. They never played a team that wasn't injured. It's like they
People
made
do
the finals like
that.
5 years in a row. Like it's
People
not like they're
discredit anything. That's how it goes. You know how it
right.
goes.
So I don't think that's um like that with the Celtics, but yeah, I don't know, man. It should be tough if everyone's healthy. You mentioned the Knicks. You got the Bucks, who
Yeah,
still have
didn't even
Dame
think
and
about them for a
Giannis.
second. Yeah.
Philadelphia, who we'll get into with some of these other questions. Added Paul George. You got another year of Maxey if Embiid's healthy in the playoffs. I know they haven't had any success in the playoffs, but that's still a tough out. And then you got the Cavs are still a decent team and tough to beat. And I think I'm forgetting. Oh,
Orlando
Magic
is
are on the
just
come
yeah,
up. Yeah.
they're ascending. I mean, maybe they make a move at the deadline to become even scarier.
Yeah.
So
And then we haven't even mentioned the team that made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, the Indiana Pacers, who
yeah,
no one really believes will get there again this year because of how many good teams there are. But I mean, they're bringing pretty much everyone back too, and they were mostly
plus
young
Mathurin
players. Yeah,
without him last year.
yeah, they
So
got some added depth and stuff like that. So yeah, that's could be a lot of tough matchups for the Celtics, unlike last year.
definitely.
Uh, but yeah, moving on. They have the Celtics, obviously the first seed in the East. Oklahoma City, pretty easily the first seed in the West. Uh, Oklahoma City did suffer a bit of a blow. Isaiah Hartenstein is going to be out several weeks. And so that kind of hurts their depth. That was a big addition for them this offseason, shoring up that center position. That's been one of the weaknesses for Oklahoma City the past few years is just their lack of big man depth. Obviously, Chet Holmgren helped in that regard last year, but he can't do it all himself, and he can't play 48 minutes. So you need some other centers there, and Hartenstein seemed to be a really good fit there. So we'll have to see. Wait till he gets back to see him in action. But yeah, I think unless SGA goes down or something, I just don't see how that Oklahoma City team isn't at least as good as they were last year, if not better. And they were, the 1 seed last year. So
Yeah.
I just short of a major injury, I don't see how they're not the 1 seed.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Chet could be even better this year. Jalen Williams is going to be probably even better this year. They're still a relatively young roster, and Shea is going to be Shea. They don't have Giddy anymore, so that's completely gone. Not having to worry about playing him at all. And they've locked up Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe for years to come. So yeah, they're going to be a fun team this year. I mean, they were fun last year, but it's probably going to be even better this year. So the Thunder as the number 1 seed makes a ton of sense to me. I don't see why they. I mean, of course, they don't have to be the number 1 seed to be good, but it definitely. I don't mind that at all, obviously.
Mm-hmm. All right, who will win the 2024-2025 MVP? Number one with 40% of the votes is the guy you just mentioned, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Number two, Luka Doncic at 30%. And then there was several other players down at 7%, Embiid, Jokic, Tatum, also receiving votes. Giannis, Jaylen Brown, and Anthony Edwards. But yeah, this is pretty much shaking out to be Shea versus Luka with
Yeah.
this MVP race in most people's minds.
And Jokic got it again last year, correct? If I remember
Yes,
correctly,
he's
yeah.
won 3 out of the past 4 years.
So voters fatigue would have to, you would think, settle in on Jokic. I thought Shea probably could have won it last year. They didn't give it to him. So yeah, I mean, to me, as long as both these gentlemen reach the requirements on how many games played, Luka or Shea, I think honestly, I can't see another person winning this award this year.
Yeah.
Those are the two that feel like so easy to me. Shea, like I said, was extremely close last year. You could argue that maybe he should have won it. Luka is Luka Doncic, and he's eventually gonna get one. Like, there's no way he won't. I feel like so. Yeah, to me, easily. If I had to choose between which one, I think I would lean towards Shea just because I feel like they're gonna be the better regular season team. But we'll see. But yeah, those are the two that, that's what they voted for. And those are the two betting favorites as well. Luka is the betting favorite. I know over on FanDuel at plus 330. So yeah, Luka or Shea, easy. I mean, it's easy. I think one of them wins it for sure.
Yeah, and I kind of have this theory that even though it's not supposed to matter what happened in previous seasons, um, like Jokic, for example, the year he didn't win um, in the past 4 years, it was coming off another disappointing playoff run. And people were just kind of like, well, why are we going to give him the MVP again if he never does anything in the playoffs? And then all of a sudden they win a championship and he's the MVP again the next season with similar stats that he puts up every year. So with that in mind, I think obviously Jason Tatum has that little bit of a bump by finally getting over that hump as well, and winning a championship. But also Luka carrying what most people didn't think was a conference or a finals team, except for you, Brady, of course, thought they were going to the finals, right?
Yeah, I guess I predicted that in our playoffs, but I don't think I ever would have said that.
Like going into the
yeah, going into the
regular season. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, most people pick Dallas to be, play-in team or barely one of, a top six team, but not near the top of the top six, like more towards the bottom of the top six. So, with Luka, he might get that bump from carrying a team, whereas the Thunder bow out in the second round, right?
Yeah.
I think they lost in the second round, and
Yeah.
and so maybe it's still a case of once you have playoff success for SGA, then he'll be the MVP if he has a good year the following year. Or he might be so good this year and Oklahoma City could run away with the 1 seed in a tough conference and he could get MVP. And none of this stuff I'm talking about matters. But I do think in voters' minds, I know Luka made a conference finals a couple years ago as well, but I think he gets a little bit of a bump when you're talking about most valuable player, when people just have that fresh in their mind that this person carried a team deep in the playoffs already.
Narratives also help too, and I'm not really sure there's like a crazy narrative behind either one of these guys. So that really shouldn't be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the most recent narrative I can think of is when Russ lost Kevin Durant and then averaged the triple double, and he got the MVP as a 6th seed.
Right.
But of course, you mentioned the Jokic thing, how he didn't get it because of the previous year's success. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like I said, it should be between one of these two guys if I had to guess. But we'll see if anybody else makes a good running, a good running this year for it.
Mm. And on that same thing, only the other opposite way, I don't think Joel Embiid has any shot of winning MVP. Like
Yeah.
he could put up the same numbers he had when he was MVP, play enough games. Philadelphia could be the 1 seed. And I just, with the addition of Paul George and, like I said, Maxey improving into an elite player, I just don't think he'll get the same credit. And then also just the fact that he has never been out of the second round of the playoffs. I think it's hard to say like, oh, this guy's most valuable when he hasn't proven it at all at the highest stages. So I think I would just be shocked if he, out of all these players, is the one that wins the award. So if there was a way to vote or bet on someone not being MVP, I would put my money on Embiid.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so the next question is, if you were starting a franchise today and could sign one player, who would it be?
Ooh.
There's a very obvious answer, but who would you pick?
Okay. So, obviously part of me just wants to be like, oh, let me just pick, Shea or Luca. But I also kind of want to be different, in a way. I'm not really sure. Um, I might go just to choose differently from Luca or Shea. Let me get Anthony Edwards, I guess. Let me change it up.
Oh man, I think you're forgetting
I
someone.
might be forgetting somebody for sure.
Number one got 77% of
Oh
the votes, and
gosh.
you have not mentioned him
Oh, oh
yet.
gosh, man. Oh, I'm gonna feel dumb. Who is it?
Victor
Oh,
Wembanyama,
duh, bro. What am I
man.
doing, man? I don't know why I didn't even think about Wimby. I'm
Yeah,
dumb. Yeah, no,
yeah.
that's definitely the guy I would choose now I think
Right.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he ran away with this one. Shea and Jokic were tied for second with 10% of the votes. Luka Doncic was the only other one who received a vote with 3% of the votes. So, yeah, pretty much everyone
Makes sense, man. You
agrees
could change
majority
your
that,
defense.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the Spurs are going to be a team. They got Chris Paul. That's going to be a team that it'll be interesting to see. There was already, his rookie year, there were rumblings about, oh, they need to win soon, or Wemby's going to be unhappy and he's going to move on or whatever. So do they let that rebuild like play out, or do they kind of force it to be sped up? Or is Wemby that good to where he can just carry the team eventually? It didn't really play out that way his rookie year in terms of record, but uh, if he is really this once in a lifetime type player, he's also got to be able to carry a team too. Like, I mean, all three of those other guys that we mentioned got votes have all shown that they can carry a team. So, yeah, Spurs are in a place where I don't think they can be too patient, but also I don't know if being impatient is the right move.
And when you are the betting okay, when your line is minus 155 for a season award, you know you're freaking good because Wembanyama is minus 155 to win defensive player of the year, which is insane for a season award, by the way.
Yeah.
Because the next odds are plus 1100. So that's
Hmm.
how insane Wembanyama is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just they have some who best position, best player at each position. Um, Luca won best point guard, just barely over SGA. Anthony Edwards best shooting guard. Jason Tatum best small forward, and Giannis best power forward. Jokic best center. I
Yeah,
think
I can
that's,
agree with all those.
yeah, pretty cut and dry. Offseason moves. Which team made the best overall moves? They had the Oklahoma City Thunder at 37%, Philadelphia 76ers at 33%, and New York Knicks at 20%. Um, all three of those teams. I mean, the Thunder more made, I think, like kind of just solid under the radar moves, whereas 76ers and Knicks obviously made the big splashes.
Right.
So which out of those three teams in particular, or I mean, if you have another team that you want to throw in there, but I think it's pretty clear that those three teams made the biggest moves this offseason. Which one of those three teams would you say made the best overall moves?
Out of those three, I definitely think I would lean towards the Thunder because for the Thunder, you're keeping pretty much everything the same. You don't have Giddy anymore, and you brought in Alex Caruso instead, who is going to just fit so much better. And obviously Isaiah Hardenstein, yes, he'll be hurt at the start of the season, but yeah, those two moves alone, like just because they'll have Chet, I think both those two guys alone complement what they already had going on anyway. So I think it's just going to be an easy transition for the Thunder. while the Knicks through, and they're going to have Mikal coming in. There's going to be a lot of guys like OG has always had. I mean, OG's been in New York, so that's not going to be a problem. But Mikal is going to be a great fit there. And then, so Karl-Anthony Towns just got there as well. So I feel like that might take a little bit more time for the Knicks. I do love their moves, don't get me wrong. But yeah, to me, the Thunder, and then I know Paul George hyperextended his knee. It looked a lot worse, but thankfully it doesn't sound like it's going to be too long of an injury. But yeah, all three teams made great moves, but I would lean towards the Thunder because I just think they're going to be off and running very quickly, sooner than maybe the other two teams.
Yeah, I think the 76ers with Paul George made the biggest move. But if you're just talking about overall moves, the Knicks make two big ones as well. But the Thunder, like you mentioned, add two like really good quality rotation players without giving up any of their assets or rotation players themselves. So an already pretty deep team got that much deeper, and they were the 1 seed last year. So I think that was just really solid. And the next question is which one player acquisition will make the biggest impact? So when we're talking about the previous question, this becomes interesting because Paul George got 60% of the vote, which is by far number one. But then tied for second, you have Mikal and Cat. So New York's two moves. And then number 4 is Alex Caruso, and also receiving votes down there is Isaiah Hartenstein. So, basically those three teams made, DeMar DeRozan is there as also receiving votes as well. But basically 6 players, 5 of those players were on those 3 teams. So as the biggest impacts acquisition wise. And then most underrated acquisition, number 1 is Alex Caruso. Number 3 or tied for third is Isaiah Hartenstein. So Oklahoma City has, 2 of the top 6 biggest impact ones and 2 of the top 3 most underrated. So yeah, no problem. I really don't have a problem if you put any of those 3 as the best overall moves this offseason, but I guess I'm talking myself into the Thunder being that team.
And the luxury, I should have added this earlier, but in the luxury that the Thunder have, while there is pressure, there's not as much pressure on them because they still have the Clippers assets they can rely on. They didn't trade any first to acquire Caruso or Hardenstein either. The Knicks traded a ton of first, obviously, to accomplish what they did. And then, the 76ers just got Paul George through free agency, but there was questions whether or not this would be Embiid's final time in Philadelphia because how many times they have failed. There's been so many different combinations with Embiid, and I think Paul George is a great fit, of course, next to him and Maxey, so it should make for a great impact for sure. But yeah, honestly, with the way the Thunder were able to accomplish what they accomplished without giving up any picks, to me is just, it's what makes Sam Presti so damn good. So to me, I love what the Thunder have done. Although I'm not to say that I didn't like what the other two teams did, but there's a ton of pressure on the Knicks to be champions this year. There's pressure on the Thunder too. And then the 76ers, there's a ton of pressure on Embiid and the 76ers too. So like the Thunder are just in a great spot, man. Their rebuild couldn't have gone any better, I feel like.
Yeah, they're in the perfect position where you can just, if they bow out in the playoffs, you can say, they're taking their lumps and they're still young enough to get back here every year for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And if they win it all, it'd be like, wow, how many championships are they going to win because they're still all
exactly
in their primes or before their primes. So yeah, good position for them. This question was, the answer is kind of weird. Which team will be most improved in 2024 or 2025? Someone got 2/3 of the votes. Who do you think that team is?
Most improved. If I had to guess, the Grizzlies?
Oh, yeah, you got it.
Okay, I'm about to say it. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. They're going to be healthier this year. John Morant will be back from suspension. So, although he came back, obviously, but he got hurt. So, yeah, to me, that Grizzlies make the most sense for that answer.
Yeah, assuming that Jaw is Jaw still.
Yeah.
That does make sense. But yeah, they didn't really make a big move though.
No,
So
it's
I
just
don't.
a matter of, having everybody together, I
Yeah,
guess, which is
yeah.
something they haven't been able to have in a
Mm.
while.
And then Spurs were second with 13% of the vote. Philadelphia 76ers 7%. 76ers are kind of weird. I mean, I know they could be better as a team, but record wise, I don't know if they can
Yeah.
improve that much. So, yeah, Grizzlies, I think, will have a big jump in record. Also receiving votes, the Pistons, Rockets, Magic, and Suns. I think the Suns are I don't know if being slept on is the right word, but like everyone basically has like given up on that working there.
Yeah.
So it'll be um, that's something to look forward to this season is seeing if they can put it all together. Maybe they're a little healthier than they were in previous seasons. They also had someone who showed up on the most underrated move list, and that's Tyus Jones.
Yeah, that's
So
definitely a great move for Phoenix.
getting him to help stabilize that ball handling situation because they really struggled to just set up their offense at times last year, and they had to go really ISO heavy and stuff like that. So that'll help them. Then moving on to what was the most surprising move of the offseason, we have number one Carl Anthony
Yeah, I
Towns
mean
at
that was
27%.
shocking.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. Maybe a little bit of that was the latest, most recent move. So,
Recency bias, yeah.
yeah, Paul George moving on to Philadelphia was second. DeMar DeRozan to Sacramento third, and then Mikal Bridges at fourth. And then a couple of or one funny one, I guess. Zachary Ricochet drafted number one, showed up on this list as the most surprising. And then also receiving votes, Denny to Portland, man.
That's what I was about to. I was literally about to just say that. I feel like Denny Avdia was kind of surprising. I
Yeah,
just don't know if anybody would really talk about it because we're not going to be, we're not projected
right.
to be very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought Denny to Portland was shocking too. I didn't expect him to be available as we all thought. I think. Now I
Mhm.
will say, Mikal Bridges to Knicks to me wasn't that surprising. Like the Villanova thing was there, and
For you, Brady, who had
no, I can't. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm the only one that knew that. I feel like everyone
no,
kind of knew.
I know, but you had like so many videos about that
Oh
scenario.
yeah,
Like
yeah. Just
it
because
already played out in your mind like
it,
50 times.
it made sense. Because Mikel obviously was friends with all of them, went to school, and they were trying to collect all the Villanova guys. It felt like so. Why not complete the prophecy? They did just to tear it down immediately. What on earth, man? But yeah, Cat was just shocking. I don't think anyone really saw him being moved. And then Paul George was surprising, but it was like kind of going towards that direction once the free agency started because the Clippers weren't gonna be able to keep him. And then DeMar DeRozan, while it was surprising he went to the Kings, I guess it wasn't surprising he was moving on from Chicago. Like that wasn't shocking at all to me.
No.
So just to discredit those a little bit, I guess. But yeah,
Mm,
easily for me, the most shocking one was Cat because I was so random.
right.
Uh, I didn't think it would happen. And then Denny to me is the second most shocking. Although it's not as the most, it's a bit not as big a name as Cat, but still, like I didn't expect him to be available for us like he was.
Yeah, I know the Wizards were looking for draft capital, but I'm still surprised that they moved on from Denny, considering his age and also, I mean,
Contract. It's
it's going to
just
look like he has one of the best contracts in the league here over the next 4 years.
yeah.
So yeah. All right, moving on to the rookies. Who will win the Rookie of the Year? 50% of the vote is Reed Shepard from Houston. And then Zach Edey second with 30%, Stephon Castle 13% of the votes. What do you think about Reed Shepard winning Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I was like looking at the betting favorites and Reed Shep. Oh yeah, he's there at plus 850. Yeah, Zach Edey right now is the plus 290. So he's clearly the betting favorite according to at least FanDuel right now. So Reed Shepard is interesting because I don't know what his role will be in Houston, just because there's just so much going on there, as we all know. Will he even be a Rocket by the deadline? We'll see. Like, there's always, they're trying to go after veterans, and I don't know where the NBA will be at that point, who will be available. But Yeah, obviously not the most exciting rookie class in the world. We'll see who wins Rookie of the Year. I don't even have a single guess on who might win it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna see how it plays out. I know Zach Edey might get the opportunity to start right away if I had to guess. Maybe they start Jaren Jackson still at center, although I know he might be. Is he hurt to start the season? I know he got hurt, but I don't know if that like keeps him out of the regular season.
I haven't seen an update on him. I do know that they've been looking to play more at power forward, though. So even if he does play,
So yeah,
I
if
think
Zach Edey
Edie
gets
might
the
start.
opportunity to start right away, I definitely think that could
Hmm.
help him out a ton. I just don't know if Reed will start right away, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's a case of Reed seems really good. It's just, is he going to be so good that they can't keep him off the floor over, they have Van Vliet and Jalen Green, Men Thompson. That position's pretty loaded there in
Yeah.
Houston. So even if he is good, it's just a case of, is he good enough to be like, wow, we can't bench him over those guys, and or is he just going to be kind of in the mix with all four of those guys throughout the season, so he doesn't get a chance to fully show what he's capable of or put up the stats needed to win Rookie of the Year? I think the same thing might be the case for Stephon Castle. If he gets the minutes and starts, I think just the fact that he could rack up the assists by being one of the few San Antonio Spurs that actually passes the ball to Victor Wembanyama. Um, I think I think he could easily win it. He also is a good defender and can score the ball, so I think he has a shot at it. Edie, though, I think based on his play so far, both summer league and preseason, and like you mentioned, the fact that he might get starter minutes if he holds up throughout this season, I think he's looking like a pretty good bet as well.
Sar
Um,
should get all the opportunity in the world too, I would think. I know he
yeah,
struggled in
yeah,
summer
a lot
league a
of
lot,
people are
but
down on him because of
yeah,
summer league.
yeah.
He's shown some flashes here in preseason. And yeah, you're right. Being on that Washington team, I mean, they still have Kuzma and some forwards there. They signed Jonas Valanciunas at the center position, so maybe he doesn't play as much as he would normally be on a rebuilding team as well. But yeah, that to me, Washington should let that guy play along
Yeah,
with their
definitely.
other pick, Bub Carrington. But instead, we're going to see Alex Poole and Kyle Kuzma, or not Alex Poole,
Jordan Poole and
Jordan
Alex.
Poole. Yeah, I mixed up Sar and Poole. Yeah, Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma run the show there in
Yeah,
Washington.
probably.
Yeah, tremendously exciting. Which player will be the best, or which rookie will be the best in 5 years?
Ooh.
Also, a really interesting question. Reed Shepard won this as well with 43% of the vote. Then Castle got 17%, Shea 13%, Carrington and Sar tied with 7%. Also receiving votes was one Donovan Clingan. Um, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised, but it is kind of weird that the rookie of the year, the people vote second for Zach Edey. He's a betting favorite or right up there in most sports books as well for being rookie of the year. Didn't receive a single vote for best player in 5 years, though.
Interesting. I don't think
Yeah.
that's too surprising because I don't know how good of a player he can become. Like, I
Hmm.
think he'll always
I
be.
think it's already kind of like as good as
Yeah,
he'll be.
I don't
Yeah.
think he'll ever be a superstar, right? Like, I mean, I think a lot of people have like compared him to Zubac, and I think that'd be pretty good if he became something like that, maybe even better.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think Sar, Castle, Reed to me feel like the three guys that could be the most impactful in 5 years. Klingon, as you mentioned as well, hopefully he could be in that conversation too. And I do find it interesting that the number one overall pick is barely talked about in any of this so
Right.
far.
Right.
It's just crazy. This
Hmm.
class has been wild, man. But next year that'll be way different.
Yeah. And then the last rookie question was who was the biggest steal where they were drafted? Uh, a bunch of people got 10% of the votes, so that was Bub Carrington, Devin Carter, Johnny Furphy, Dalton Connect, Terrence Shannon Jr., Nikola Topic all received 10% of the votes. So
Another interesting
very
rookie you
split.
could say that could be the most impactful in 5 years is Rob Dillingham. Could really be something in Minnesota. With Conley gone, you would assume he'd be the starter there at that point. So, but I don't think he has a chance to win Rookie of the Year this year because he'll be behind Conley for sure.
Yeah. Donovan Klingman did get 7% of the vote for that at pick 7. I think that could be looked at as someone who should have gone higher, especially if he plays like he did in the 4th preseason game. Yeah, there were some other players receiving votes, but nothing really of note. Best international player, 87%, Nikola Jokic. Doncic and Wembanyama were the only two that also received votes, but yeah, we'll see how that changes over the next few years if Wemby continues to improve. Who was the best defensive player in the NBA?
Oh gosh.
Number 1 was Victor Wembanyama, 40%. And then tied for second was Bam, Rudy Gobert, and Drew Holiday. So can't argue with any of that.
Yep.
Best perimeter defender in the NBA, number 1, Drew Holiday. Number 2, Alex Caruso. Number 3, Herb Jones. I think those are all good ones. Best interior defender, Wemby, 40%, Rudy Gobert, 37%. And that was a majority of the votes. Most versatile defender in the NBA. No one really ran away with this. 17% won it. Giannis at 17%. Then you got OG and Wemby at 13%. Nothing too crazy there. Best defensive team in the NBA was the Celtics at 57%.
Yeah, makes sense.
Ran away with it. Yep. Coaches. Who is the best head coach in the NBA? Who would you say?
I don't think his roster is that talented right now. But Spoelstra always comes to mind in Miami for best head coach. Obviously Popovich still exists, so can't never rule him out. Trying to think of any other ones that I might be blanking on, which I'm sure there is definitely some I'm blanking on right now.
So Spoelstra ran away with it, 69%. Last year he had 73%. So by far, people think he's the best head coach. Mark Daigneault made his debut, I think, on this list at 17%. And Steve Kerr, controversial there, was third. But pretty much everyone agrees that it's Spoelstra. Let's see. The coach that makes the best in-game adjustments was Tyronn Lue at 28%. He's known for his adjustments. The coach that runs the best offense was Rick Carlisle at 47%. We saw how well Indiana was on offense last year, so no surprises there.
Did Chauncey get any votes?
Chauncey did not. Sorry.
Oh, man.
I don't see a single vote on any of the, at least the good ones.
Damn.
We'll see if there's any bad ones. Which new or relocated head coach will make the biggest impact on his new team? Number 1 was Mike Budenholzer in Phoenix with 40% of the vote. We've seen them in preseason shoot a ton of threes and just play a little differently than they have in the past. What active player will make the best head coach someday? Chris Paul wins this category
That's
again.
what immediately came to mind.
30%. And then here's some miscellaneous ones. This, once again, is the NBA GM survey. The most fun team to watch, number 1, the Indiana Pacers at 37%.
Yeah,
number 2, Oklahoma City Thunder. It's definitely a fun team to watch. It's the Thunder, Timberwolves. What are the 3 teams you can't watch?
Oh,
Lucas?
Nuggets, Timberwolves, and Thunder. Yeah.
Yeah. So you wouldn't know if those teams are fun.
I guess not. Yeah, you're right.
Best home court advantage, Denver Nuggets win this again, 47%. They pretty much just get the altitude bump. Yep. Let's see. This is a cool question. Which team's level of success this season is the toughest to predict? Or do you have a team that you're struggling to like think of how good or bad they'll be?
Oh, okay, I gotcha. No, I don't know if I have one really that I can think of.
Yeah.
No, I can't really think of one right now. Good or like not knowing how good or
Yeah.
bad they'll be. Yeah, I'm not sure to be honest.
For me, it's some of the aging rosters, like Golden State and the Clippers. Like it's tough to know if they'll be
Oh
healthy
yeah,
enough or
those
whatever. Yeah,
Clippers.
like
Yeah, that's an easy one.
they
I should
have
have
they have
thought
a
about
wide
that.
range that they could be good if they're relatively healthy, but they also could be really bad or not make the playoffs.
Yeah, I literally just said that in my video the other day when I did the Clipper. I was like, who knows if this team will be good or bad? Like, who
Yeah.
knows where they'll be? So yeah, I should have said Clippers. That's a good one.
But the team that won this one is 17% of the votes was the Los Angeles Lakers, which is also, I guess, a good choice.
That makes sense for sure.
Yeah. Which team has the most promising young core? I think this is one of the most obvious answers.
Yeah.
But I mean, we did our young core thing last year.
And I said Houston had the best, which I
so
still
Houston's third at 10%.
think they have one of the better young cores, and they only added Reed Shepard to that. But are they going to stick to that young core? Who knows?
Magic had 20%. They were second, and then number one was the Oklahoma City Thunder at 60%.
Yeah, too easy.
Yeah. Which player is the most athletic? That went to Anthony Edwards, 45%. Best shooter is Steph Curry. He wins that pretty much every year. That's pretty obvious. Fastest player with the ball is De'Aaron Fox. Obviously pretty fast. John Morant second on that list. Best player moving without the ball is Steph as well. He usually finishes first in that too. Best passer in the NBA went to Jokic at 70%. He edges out Doncic and Halliburton. Let's see if there's any other. Highest IQ or best IQ, that goes to Jokic as well. LeBron finishes second there. Didn't see his name much. He's getting up there. But yeah. I think we would maybe choose Dame, but player you would want taking the shot with the game on the line went to Steph as well.
Oh, hell no. Give me Damian Lillard all day in that situation. Kidding me?
Yeah. What rule regarding play schedule, draft lottery, playoff format, roster construction, etc. most needs to change? Now, this is crazy considering this was the first real offseason of the new CBA, but they voted number one, roster construction apron rules, trade math, too restrictive or should be indexed to teams' market. So 20% of the GMs felt like that was already an issue and needs to change, that the new apron rules were too restricting.
That's pretty wild. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to keep talent, so I can understand why GMs hate that rule for sure.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, that's I don't think there's anything I have in mind other than they only did it once. I don't know if they're going to do it again, but the two draft day rule was, or two-day draft was really silly. I think they should go back to 1 day.
Well, that did get a couple votes. It says
did.
return to a 1 day draft. But
yeah.
I don't know. I thought I heard though that most GMs really liked it this year, so I doubt
Really
it'll change.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. They should
Um.
do something better on the second round the next day, though. That felt
Yeah.
so dumb. But
This is the last question on here, so I'll go through a few of them. So scheduling fewer back-to-backs was second. Tied for third was game flow, reducing stoppages, um, and then changing the playoff format to seed 1 through 16, and
yeah, I've heard people
letting
talk
top
about.
seeds choose opponents.
Oh, that would be crazy.
That would be fun, but I also
That'd get
I
rid
don't
of the
know. I kind of hate
tradition,
that.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Moving free agency before the draft got a few votes, and then also receiving votes at a third round of the draft. Changing the draft lottery format. There's probably some teams like the Detroit Pistons who are sick of getting screwed every year.
I love the lottery format, to be
I
honest.
know.
I like it a
It's
lot.
so fun. But
Yeah.
yeah. Expanding all-star rosters to 15 players. The Elam ending, incorporating that. I don't know if that's just for the all-star game or what, but fouls on lobs should be shooting fouls. Playoff eligibility for two-way players and removing divisions all got.
I mean, I feel like getting rid of conferences or divisions would kind of suck just because that's just the tradition across all, major sports is that exists.
Yeah, I think like doing stuff like that is too reactionary.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the West has been really tough for a long time. It seems like the East is just starting to catch up over the last couple of years, but it should all balance out. I don't think it's something where you have to like drastically change those rules just because one conference has been better for a while. But yeah, I mean, I get it. It would make some cool matchups in the playoffs, but I don't know. I kind of, especially with like college football going away from this whole regionality thing, I think it's still important to have some regional rivalries and playoff matchups instead of having to like the Seattle Supersonics playing the Miami Heat in the first round. Like I don't know if
Yeah.
that's necessarily making basketball better or anything.
Yeah, no. No, there's not. Yeah, like there's nothing in the NBA I would change too much. I know 1 through 16 sounds exciting and all, but like I said, I kind of like the traditional conference thing. It's just kind of how every sport is. Um, obviously this has nothing to do with the NBA, but like if the NBA had something like this, I would say like the NFL's rule where you're guaranteed a playoff game or a home playoff game if you win your division. But like if your division sucks, it's like it's annoying because like we've seen Seattle win because they had a home game and their division was trash. But yeah, the NBA doesn't have a problem with that, so hopefully we'll never see anything like that. But
yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's the GM survey. Always fun to look at. But yeah, so are you locked in to Tuesday, Wednesday? You're just gonna be watching ball all night, or what? What do you got?
oh yeah. Tuesday and Wednesday is gonna be watching basketball for sure. I'll be excited that it's back. I can't wait. And then we get to watch the Blazers on Wednesday. I am excited. And this will be my first time watching them this season. I didn't watch any preseason, so I'm coming in excited to see what I'm gonna be looking at for the rest of the season, and hopefully I can stay attentive to this team all year. That's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to have a reason to watch,
Yeah, absolutely. Monday night over on Blazers Uprise, we're doing our annual predictions show. So we'll get a little more in depth. We go through standings. I think you'll be asked or welcome to turn in your standings predictions for that show as well, Brady. And then the awards predictions also. And then on Wednesday, before any of the NBA games tip off, we'll have our first Blazers Uprise live show with the picks against the spread.
Oh
So we'll be
boy.
picking all those games, and then we'll be leading into the NBA action that day, and then we'll conclude Wednesday evening after the Blazer game with the post-game show. That's over on our main channel, Blazers Uprise. The show earlier in the day is on our second channel, Blazers Uprise Live, right where you watch this show. Or you can watch or listen to this show on any of your places where you get podcasts. So you can listen to that if you don't want to watch on YouTube. Yeah, so it's fun, man. I love NBA basketball. It's back. This is a great time of year. We still have the championship series and World Series in baseball.
Congrats to the Yankees, by the way. I know a lot of people hate him, but I'm happy for Judge to get in his first World Series. I didn't even realize this was his first World Series, but yeah, congrats to the Yankees.
Yep, and so we have that still for the next few weeks, and then we have right in the middle of football season, obviously, both college and pros. WNBA finals are going on right now, and then we got the NBA starting. So, and hockey, if you like hockey, also started a couple weeks ago. So yeah, we got everything going on right now.
Yeah, it's a great time of the year for sure.
Good times. And then I know a lot of people don't pay attention to basketball until Christmas or later in the season, but I think Brady and I are two of those that enjoy it all year round.
Yeah.
And we'll try to get some more hopefully now we'll get settled into more of a routine of getting the show out at least once a week. And so hopefully we'll be able to record a lot more episodes. But just wanted to say thank you to everyone who watched this video. Appreciate you all. Hope to see you on our other platforms as well. And do you have anything else to say, Brady?
No. Other than that, I think we're recording this currently. Technically for me right now, it's Sunday. Just became Sunday. I'll probably try to get this out early Monday, but yeah, technically we record this very late Saturday night. So, yeah, if there anything that happens that we didn't get
Right.
to talk about, that's why. But, no, that's it. That's all I got. It was fun to be back.
Yeah, good to talk to you, Brady. And
likewise.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Until next time, Brady.
I remember the outro. Peace out. Go Blazers.